It's the 20th anniversary of Community Theater's Wizard of Oz, an event that really starts the holiday season, and you get a sneak peek.
She fell out of Kansas, a miracle occurred. It really was no miracle. What happened was just this. The wind began to switch, the house to pitch, and suddenly the hinges started to unhitch. Just then, the witch, to satisfy an itch, went flying on her broomstick, thumbing for a hitch. And oh, what happened next was this!
Mitchell Summers is the man behind the magic, executive director of CTG, and 20 years. Can you even wrap your head around it?
I can't, and my daughter, who I remember was a little munchkin, she's now in our production of The Odd Couple playing this woman, and I was just thinking that the other day, is like, how did that all happen? But it does, and it's really lovely because a lot of times in the audience, someone will come up to me and say, I don't know if you remember me, Mr. Mitchell, but I was a munchkin when I was 10 years old, and here's my 5-year-old child, and I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. But it's been around a long time, and I guess I've been around a long time.
Hey, that is a testament to what you're doing. So take us through the history a little bit, how it got started, how you brought Wizard of Oz to Greensboro, and kind of how it's grown and changed over the years.
Yeah. Well, it really was just going to be a show of the season, and it was just a one-time thing. And we had been looking for something to be sort of like the Nutcracker or the Christmas Carol. And so when we did it, and it was such a huge turnout, we were like, let's try it again and see if anybody comes. And so it was never really planned that way. Even the set, as beautiful as the set is, it was really only to be for a few years. So we need a new set. So I'm hoping somebody will watch and will want to build a new set for The Wizard of Oz. But it's just gone on much longer than we ever thought. When people ask me, when are you going to stop? I'm like, well, when people stop coming.
But it is a tradition. It has really kind of become a holiday tradition.
It is. It actually starts the holiday, right? Because most stuff happens in December. So I feel we kind of officially start the holiday season. And what I love about this show is, unlike some shows that have a particularly religious or ethnic affiliation, The Wizard of Oz is everybody's story, right? Every child saw that movie. Everybody grows up loving that story.
It's just magical. It really is. So tell me about the cast this year. Ages, numbers.
They're as young as 5. We've even had 4-year-olds. You got to be potty trained to be in The Wizard of Oz, So 5 years old, and I don't know if Mary Ann wants me to tell her age, but let's just say some of us are senior plus, and everything in between, every neighborhood in Greensboro that you could think of, they're all here. It's a very special place at CTG where all these people from all these different backgrounds come together, and that's what I hear from the families. Their children are exposed to so many different people and different religions and ethnicities, and it's a good life lesson, right? We all have to learn how to work together towards a common goal of all different backgrounds.
And speaking of working together, this takes a lot of preparation, and not just from the people you see on stage.
Yeah, and it's a huge commitment. One of the things I love is they really learn the spirit of volunteerism, because you're all sitting out there and you love watching them, but they are coming for 2 months for free, right? 4 or 5 times a week, 3-4 hours a day to put on the show. It's a huge commitment. And again, for the young people, what a wonderful thing to instill in them at a young age. You have a talent, you volunteer your time, and you give back to the community. So it's a good way to set them up on their path for life.
And of course, you have parents who are working behind the scenes, and volunteers. They're sewing costumes, they're repainting sets.
Sometimes I really wish someday we will show people what goes on backstage, because that's the real show. Because you're right. So you got 50 boys up in the dressing room. You can imagine what that dressing room, and then you got to get them down the stairs quietly in costume, line them up backstage, and get them on stage. So there's a whole army back there. One of my favorite ones is at the end of the show when the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and the Lion have to change back into the farmhands. They have like 2 minutes. You should see what we have people ripping off their costumes and wiping off their makeup and putting them in their pants, and somehow they make it on for the next scene. It's crazy. Yeah.
Best try to stay out of my way, but I'll get you eventually, my pretty, and your little dog too.
So what other special things go on around the Wizard of Oz? There's something with Dorothy, a special something?
Yeah, we have lunch with Dorothy each Saturday. So if the kids want an up close and personal thing, they come to the Carolina Theater earlier. They have a McDonald's lunch and they get to meet all the characters and sit with them and talk to them and take pictures with them. Also, this year is actually our 20th anniversary. So the last Saturday, the 22nd, we're really encouraging anybody who's ever been in the show to come. So we're going to recognize everybody. And then we're going to have this big party. We're just taking over the Carolina Theater and we're going to just celebrate 20 years. Because literally, when you think about it, Rosemary, thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been in it, not to mention how many people come see it all the time. It's just a common bond, that a rite of passage that these people in the area have grown up in the Wizard of Oz.
And personally to you, what does it mean to see it 20 years later, to see how it's evolved and changed, and to know that you've been a part of every single one of them?
You know, it's not so much the show for me as much as I love it. I'd say that what we talked about earlier, it's when somebody comes up to me and tells me 10 years later, 15 years later, 5 years later, what it meant to them and how they in their life have just found themselves to be a more open person, a sensitive person, a creative person, a productive person, from the relationships and the life skills. For me, at a community theater, that's the most rewarding thing for me, because I never really think that most of these people are going to go into it professionally. But if they walk away with gifts that they can use in their life to have a wonderful life, it's awesome.
Thank you.
Taking out for lunch and then at 2 we're done. Jolly good fun! Ha ha ha! Ho ho ho! Ho 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 ho! That's how we laugh the day away in the merry old land of Oz. That's how we laugh the day away with ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! In the merry old land, merry old land, merry old, merry old, merry old land of Oz.
And of course, you've just seen a very small taste of all the fun that the Wizard of Oz offers. You can see the show in person at the Carolina Theater November 15th through 23rd and find showtimes online. It's all at ctgso.org.